well, the AQI level on good AQI days is still above the 150 mark. So even in those days, there is very little discussion that happens on this very tragic issue of pollution that is giving slow death to the people out here, specifically in the national capital, who are being forced to breathe in this very poor air out here in the national capital. So yes, Jairam Ramesh has yet again raised this issue and has made this point that that pollution cannot be the solution of India's growth, and hence there needs to be measures and checks that needs to be put in place. But yes, it remains to be seen that if at all this time around will finally be a wake-up call for the officers, for the government this time around, to actually chart out a long-term plan on which work could happen throughout the year, and eventually some better results could be seen next time around in the winters, because this winters is definitely gone. The AQI is going to remain in the very poor severe category throughout the winter season. So just as the experts have been pointing out, it is better to take precautions than to think about any sort of a solution to get away from this very toxic air that we are being forced to breathe in.
All right. Well, Anshul, thank you so much for bringing us the latest on that. Of course, we're going to continue to track this issue very closely and bring you all the developments on this also. With that, we're going to slip into a very short break, but don't go anywhere. News and updates will continue on the other side on CNN News 18. Stay tuned.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Delhi's NCR has imposed the strictest anti-pollution curbs under Stage 4 of GRAP as air quality slipped into the severe category. Yesterday, Delhi's AQI shot up to over 500, prompting authorities to enforce all emergency measures. Officials say unfavorable weather, low wind speed and poor dispersion caused the spike. Residents have been advised to avoid outdoor activities as conditions remain critical.
The thick haze behind me shows you the level of the air quality in the national capital. Over the last 24 to 48 hours, the air quality across the national capital region has worsened. Now, with air quality index being recorded almost near 450. Now, if you know, the air quality index between 400 to 450 falls into the severe category, but the moment it breaches the 450 mark, it touches the severe plus category. Now, the CAQM, which is the Commission for Air Quality Management in Delhi-NCR, has already strengthened the GRAD, which is the Graded Response Action Plans, which are the emergency measures. Now, Stage 3 of the Graded Response Action Plan came into effect yesterday, but now it's GRAP 4 implemented across the entire national capital region. So what are the restrictions imposed? First of all, there are strict restrictions on commercial vehicles which do not abide by the BS4 standards. Anything below BS4 is not permitted to enter the capital until and unless they're carrying some essential goods. Schools have been urged to shift to a hybrid mode of learning, with classes up to 11th standard have been encouraged to shift to online mode of learning. Private offices have also been encouraged to go to 50% work from home. The intensification of the road sweeping measures has also been strengthened. We can see a lot of anti-smog guns and water sprinklers on the road for dust mitigation. And there are strict instructions for people to step in outdoors without carrying a mask. Now, these masks are extremely important because prolonged exposure to such toxic air can really impact your health.
देखिए, अगर हम अपनी ओपीडी की बात करें तो ऑब्वियसली ये तो बहुत ज्यादा है कि जो हमारे नंबर ऑफ पेशेंट्स है वो बढ़ गए हैं। ऐसे पेशेंट्स आ रहे हैं जिनको पहले कोई भी प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती थी, बट अब उनको खांसी हो रही है, गले में दर्द हो रहा है, जुकाम हो रहा है। ऐसे भी पेशेंट्स आ रहे हैं जिनको पहले अस्थमा था या सीओपीडी था, पर अब उनको उसका अटैक पड़ रहा है और हमको उसके लिए उनको इनहेलर, नेबुलाइजर देने पड़ रहे हैं या फिर ओरल स्टेरॉइड भी देने पड़ रहे हैं ताकि उनकी प्रॉब्लम कंट्रोल हो सके। ये जो पॉल्यूशन है ये सबके ऊपर काम करता है, मतलब ये सबको प्रॉब्लम करता है, बच्चों से लेके बूढ़ों तक। बच्चों को और बूढ़ों को ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम करता है, परंतु नौजवानों को भी ये अफेक्ट करता है। तो बचाव का तो इसका सबसे बड़ा उपाय यही है कि घर से बाहर कम से कम निकलें, जरूरत हो तो ही घर से बाहर निकलें, नहीं जरूरत है तो ना निकलें, और अगर आपको निकलना पड़ रहा है तो N95 मास्क लगा कर निकलें।
Of course, GRAP 4, we know it's, and GRAP itself, it's a reactive measure. So we are obviously coming to a situation, such a terrible situation, and the numbers that now GRAP 4 is invoked, rightly so. But there's a larger picture to it. It's what we've done throughout the year or years or many years ago, the decisions that were taken by the policymakers, that we are in this situation. These are not overnight things, the 2-3 days and the numbers will come back, then it will be revoked. So this is really not the solution. The solution are
Even as Delhi-NCR continues to choke due to the rapidly deteriorating air quality, politics over rising pollution peaks. Aam Aadmi Party's national convener Arvind Kejriwal criticized Delhi Chief Minister Rekha Gupta, saying that it is not appropriate to mock anyone taking a Vipassana break, despite both of them having political differences over the handling of the pollution crisis in the national capital region. The AAP leader's comments come a day after Chief Minister Gupta alleged that while Bharatiya Janata Party leaders are trying to fight pollution by staying in Delhi, while Kejriwal simply abandons Delhi by taking a Vipassana every 6 months. Kejriwal hit back by saying, and I quote, "Rekha Gupta harbors political enmity towards me. Due to this, it does not behove you to mock the divine Vipassana meditation method taught by Lord Buddha in this manner. You too should certainly try Vipassana once. Going to do Vipassana is not called running away."
मैं साथियों ये कहना चाहती हूँ, ये जंग हम सबकी जंग है। इस जंग से लड़ रही हूँ, मेरे मंत्री सब इस जंग से लड़ रहे हैं, आप सब लोग भी इस जंग से लड़ रहे हैं। हम कोई बाहर नहीं भाग जाते अपनी खांसी ठीक करने के लिए, हम यहीं रह के लोगों के बीच में, यदि वो पीड़ित हैं तो हम सब पीड़ित हैं। उतना ही दर्द हमारे दिल में भी है, हमारे सीने में भी है, हमारे परिवार भी यहाँ रहते हैं, बच्चे यहाँ रहते हैं, और इसलिए इस समस्या को जड़ से खत्म करने के लिए मिल करके इन समस्याओं का समाधान करना होगा। हमारी सबकी जिम्मेदारी है, मेरी दिल्ली मेरी जिम्मेदारी, ये हम सबकी टैगलाइन होनी चाहिए, हम सबकी।
Welcome back to CNN News 18. Thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Heem Kaur Surya. Now here's the latest that we're getting for you. NIA to file a charge sheet in the Pahalgam terror attack case before Jammu court today. A detailed press release will follow, we're given to understand. Now the National Investigation Agency will file a charge sheet in the Pahalgam terror attack case in which 26 people were killed by Pakistan-based terrorists. Now, we are given to understand that NIA investigations had found direct involvement of 3 terrorists in this attack, and a detailed press release shall follow this particular filing of the charge sheet in the Pahalgam attack case. For more on this, we have with us Arunima. Arunima, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. What can you tell us?
Yes, morning. So it's quite crucial. The terrorists who were allegedly responsible for the ghastly killing of people at the Baisaran Valley, they have been brought to justice in an operation near Srinagar in the Mahadev Hills. If you remember Operation Mahadev, these terrorists were brought to justice. But who were the people who harbored them? Already the first breakthrough was made by NIA when 2 of the harborers were arrested. So what was their role? Did they only limit themselves to providing food and logistics? Were they aware? Were they overground workers who were receiving instructions from their Pakistani handlers? All of these details will be known in the charge sheet. Also, we are expecting to know from the NIA who the handlers in Pakistan were, at what point these terrorists who crossed over, at what point did they cross over? Because it was initially suspected that these terrorists were not just responsible for Baisaran, but perhaps for some of the other big terror attacks in the valley as well, including the one that we saw at the Zedmore tunnel in Sonmarg. So was there a direct connection? Were these 3 terrorists lying low in the valley for some time now? Who were the people who were helping them get the food, the logistics? There was, and government was under constant pressure for months together because the opposition kept asking, why are these terrorists not being brought to justice? So where were they hiding? Who were the people who were helping them hide? How did they reach Mahadev area where the operation finally brought them to justice? All of these questions are still unanswered. We are expecting answers in the charge sheet today.
All right, Arunima, thank you so much for bringing us the latest on this. Of course, we'll continue to track this closely. All right, let's shift our focus now. Another development that we've been tracking for you. A mass shooting occurred at a Jewish Hanukkah event at Bondi Beach, Sydney on Sunday, resulting in 16 fatalities, including the suspected attacker, one of them. Police as of now have updated the number of injured to 40, including at least 2 police officers. The shooters targeted the Jewish gathering, prompting a swift response from the authorities. Sydney Police, its latest statement, termed it a terror attack. Australian Prime Minister condemned this ghastly attack, calling it an anti-Semitic attack against Jewish Australians. Prime Minister Modi too extended support to his Australian counterpart, but now Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has gone all guns blazing against Albanese, blaming him for this attack, saying that you have fueled anti-Semitism.
I feel horrible. I have no husband. I don't know where is his body. Nobody can give me any answer. That's it.
Very angry that something like this happened in Australia.
It's hard to believe.
Disappointing. A Jewish event where terrorists and murderers, went to kill Jewish people celebrating Hanukkah. It's just unbelievable that in Australia this is allowed to happen. We're supposed to be the lucky country. We're supposed to be a country where people are allowed to express their religion freely, and where something like this happens is unbelievable.
Today was an act of pure evil, an act of anti-Semitism, an act of terrorism on our shores in an iconic Australian location, Bondi Beach. This was an attack deliberately targeted at the Jewish community on the first day of Hanukkah, which of course should be a joyous celebration, and the Jewish community are hurting today. Today all Australians wrap our arms around them and say, we stand with you. We will do whatever is necessary to stamp out anti-Semitism. It is a scourge and we will eradicate it together.
On August 17th, about 4 months ago, I sent Prime Minister Albanese of Australia a letter in which I gave him warning that the Australian government's policy was promoting and encouraging anti-Semitism in Australia. Instead, Prime Minister, you replaced weakness with weakness and appeasement with more appeasement. Your government did nothing to stop the spread of anti-Semitism in Australia. You took no action. You let the disease spread. And the result is the horrific attacks on Jews we saw today.
Now, Israeli authorities have launched their own investigation. Sources are telling us into the attack, examining whether hostile state actors, particularly Iran, may be involved. And according to reports accessed by CNN News 18, investigators are also probing possible links to Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Toiba and other Al-Qaeda-aligned groups, citing their history of targeting Jews. Officials are also assessing whether Iran's alleged strategy of using proxy militant groups such as Hezbollah could be at play in this particular incident. Also, for more on this, we have Siddhant Mishra live with us. Siddhant, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, this deadly attack that we've witnessed at Bondi Beach in Australia, it does follow a string of rise in anti-Semitic attacks in Australia that have followed since the war broke out between Israel and Hamas back in October 2023. We also heard what Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu had to say. It's put the blame squarely on the Australian Prime Minister. What can you tell us?
Well, that's right. In fact, this is a very interesting piece of information which has been brought to us by our securities editor, Manoj Gupta. In fact, he did manage to speak to his sources in the intel community. And in fact, what he's telling us is that, according to reports, Israeli authorities are also examining whether hostile state actors, primarily Iran, is involved in this attack. Investigators are also probing potential links to Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba and Al-Qaeda aligned group with global jihadi footprint, as we know that both of these attackers belong to Pakistan. In fact, Lashkar has history of targeting Jewish and Western interests outside. They attacked them in the 26/11 2008 Mumbai attacks. Lashkar-e-Taiba attacked Jewish targets outside the Chabar house during the Mumbai attacks. In fact, Israeli authorities are also probing that Iran is possibly a country which may have given directions for the attack, or perhaps the proxies of Iran could also be behind the attack. Now, investigators are checking that the attack against Iran's well-documented strategy of outsourcing violence to non-state militant group. This allows Tehran plausible deniability while advancing its anti-Israel, anti-Jewish agenda globally. Now, according to some report, Hezbollah, backed and trained by Iran, is under focus due to its long history of overseas operations. Hezbollah has fundraising networks and surveillance of Jewish and Israeli targets in Australia and other Western countries. Now, authorities are assessing if the attackers were ideologically influenced by Hamas, especially after post-Gaza conflict. Now, there's also this pattern which perhaps people are talking about since yesterday, when Washington, London, now Sydney, and the Sydney attack is perhaps the one attack where the largest number of people have been killed after this 7th October attack on Israel by Hamas. So there is this pattern. And also, if you see that there are a lot of similarities between the Pahalgam attack in India and the attack at the Bondi Beach in Australia. People making merry, celebrating life with families, during celebrations. Such attacks are deliberately planned. So this could be some thought-out strategy of terror group, perhaps. That is also something which investigating agencies are looking at this point in time. So not only Israelis have launched their investigation, but even the Americans are also doing parallel investigation. In fact, yesterday, Kash Patel did confirm that Americans are providing all sorts of assistance to their Australian counterpart. So this particular terror attack has shaken the entire world. And this is the reason that investigators, the leaders want to know the organization behind these attackers, who were behind them, what motivated them, etc., etc. So all those things will definitely come up in due course of investigation. But so far there are multiple angles that are being probed Hezbollah overseas operation, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, because all these organizations in the past have done overseas operations targeting Jewish community. So definitely these angles are being probed, are being looked at.
Absolutely. We're getting more information right now on this also. Donald Trump has condemned Sydney's Bondi Beach attack, saying that this was clearly an anti-Semitic attack. The US president has conveyed his respects also. He has condemned this attack at Sydney's Bondi Beach. Now, Siddhant, let me come back to you on this. Of course, while various... All right, let's just listen into the reaction that we are getting to this also first.
That was an anti-Semitic attack, obviously. And I just want to pay my respects to everybody. I must say in Syria also, we had an attack in Syria, and we had 3 great patriots terminated by bad people. But to Australia and the Prime Minister, to everybody that we know so well, we get along with so well, we have a great relationship. That's a terrible situation going on over there. Think of that. In Australia, you probably read it's been a very, very brave person, actually, who went and attacked frontally one of the shooters and saved a lot of lives. So.
All right, so Siddhant, let me come back to you. Now, of course, there we've heard US President Donald Trump condemning this attack also. Now, Siddhant, as we were discussing, there are various links which are being probed here. Once again, the axis of resistance and Iran's proxies once again in question here. While simultaneous probes and investigations are underway, we heard what Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said. He's of course, been firmly against Australia's recognition of a Palestinian state, calling it appeasement and saying that you're fueling terror further and you are further recognizing and fueling such anti-Semitic attacks. Really, it's now up to the Australian Prime Minister as to how this probe goes, and he has a lot to answer there also.
Well, definitely there is a political side of this entire issue. In fact, between Israel and Australia, this back and forth is going on from past few months. In fact, in August, Prime Minister Netanyahu wrote a letter to Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. In fact, he said that you are fueling the anti-Semitic sentiment, etc., etc. So all those things were done by Israeli leadership at the time when there were protests, marches in Australia, in support of Palestine, in support for Gaza. At that point in time, the Israeli leadership took note of such gatherings taking place in Australia. And also, it also has to do with Australia's open support to Palestine. Perhaps countries like Canada, Australia, France, UK, all these countries supported the Palestine state. So they were the first few countries to support Palestine state ahead of President Trump's 20-point peace plan getting implemented. So since then, the relations of Israel with these countries are all-time low. There has been back and forth happening between Israeli leadership and governments of these countries. And now, since this attack has taken place at the Bondi Beach, where 16 innocents have lost their lives, 42 are injured, Jewish community has been targeted. The attackers have been identified. They are from Pakistan, etc., etc. So definitely, if you talk about the accountability, then definitely this is a responsibility of the Australian government. But the Israeli leadership is out and out blaming the Australian government for the lapses, for letting the anti-Semitic sentiment fuel in the Australian society, etc., etc. So we have been seeing responses, statements coming from the Israeli leadership since yesterday.
Absolutely. Now, it's extremely unfortunate and anti-Semitic attack as such. Of course, we are waiting for more details and confirmation on that. But from what it appears to be an anti-Semitic attack as such, of course, risks further discrediting the two-state solution after the devastation that we've seen. Now, of course, Siddhant, thank you so much for bringing us the developments on that. We're getting in more information. Prime Minister Modi is departing for his three-nation tour. The first stop, as you know, is Jordan. Prime Minister is going to be on a three-nation tour of Jordan, Ethiopia and Oman. Lots on the agenda there. Siddhant, let me come to you on that also. These are the visuals that we're getting. Siddhant, the Prime Minister has embarked on his plane and he is leaving for Jordan right now. The first stop of his three-nation tour. What's going to be big on the agenda for Jordan and India?
That's right. This is Prime Minister Modi's first visit to West Asia after the implementation of President Trump's 20-point Gaza peace plan. In fact, India has always supported just and lasting peace in West Asia. In fact, India has always been supporting the peace efforts being given by various countries in West Asia. Now, in fact, Prime Minister's departure statement has also been released by the government of India. In fact, Prime Minister writes that today, and I quote Prime Minister, today I'm embarking on a three-nation visit to Jordan, Ethiopia and Oman, these nations with which India shares both age-old civilization ties as well as extensive contemporary bilateral relation. First, I'll be visiting Jordan on the invitation of His Majesty King Abdullah. This historic visit will mark 75 years of establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Then Prime Minister will be going to Ethiopia. The focus will be on the India's relations with the African Union, since Ethiopia is the headquarters of the African Union. In fact, it was under India's presidency when African Union was inducted into the G20 grouping. In fact, Prime Minister will also be holding the joint session of the parliament in Ethiopia. He will also be addressing the Indian community, after which Prime Minister will be going to Oman. India and Oman has a very special strategic partnership. In fact, Prime Minister will also be addressing the Indian diaspora in Oman. And there's going to be key documents which will be signed between the two countries during this visit. Defense cooperation. Oman has old Jaguar planes. Perhaps those parts could be sent by Oman to India. So we could expect some documents to be signed in that regard. And there is also the free trade agreement which India is negotiating with Oman. The other day, the secretary at the Ministry of External Affairs told us that those documents are in the final stage. So this visit could also see some kind of an announcement as far as free trade agreement is concerned. So it's going to be a very, very significant visit of Prime Minister Modi to the West Asia. As I said, this is his first visit after the implementation of President Trump's peace plan in West Asia, and it's going to be action-packed visit of Prime Minister Modi to West Asia.
Right, absolutely. And of course, we will be keeping a close watch on this three-nation tour that the Prime Minister is undertaking. Of course, let's shift our focus for now. We're getting in more information this time from Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has slammed Home Minister Amit Shah, saying that the state will not bow down before arrogance, further adding that even an entire battalion of RSS people will not be able to electorally influence Tamil Nadu. So, a huge statement there by the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, who slammed Amit Shah.
அதனால்தான் அமித்ஷா போன்றவருக்கு நம்ம மேல எரிச்சல் பேசுனாங்கல்ல. அண்மையில கூட என்ன பேசினார் அவரு? பீகாரை ஜெயிச்சிட்டோம், அடுத்த டார்கெட் தமிழ்நாடு தான் சொல்றாரு. மாண்புமிகு அமித்ஷா அவர்களே, நீங்கள் உங்க சங்கி படையே கூட்டிக்கிட்டு வந்தாலும் உங்களால் ஒன்றும் இங்க பண்ண முடியாது. இது தமிழ்நாடு, இது தமிழ்நாடு. எங்களுடைய கேரக்டரையே புரிஞ்சிக்க மாட்டீங்களா? அன்போட வந்தா அரவணைப்போம், ஆணவத்தோடு வந்தா அடிபடைய மாட்டோம், எதிர்த்து நிற்போம். மீண்டும் சொல்றேன், அன்போட வந்தா அரவணைப்போம், ஆணவத்தோட வந்தா அடிபணிய மாட்டோம், எதிர்த்து நிற்போம்.
All right, for more on this, we're now being joined by Purnima. Purnima, thank you so much for joining us on this. Good morning to you. And if you could just tell us how you assess these statements which have been made.
Well, in the run-up to the 2026 State Assembly polls, the DMK once again reiterating its narrative that BJP cannot make inroads in Tamil Nadu, and also, in fact, goes on to say that Bihar is not Tamil Nadu. The BJP may have won in Bihar, but in Tamil Nadu, it will not work. The arithmetic will not work. And once again says that in Tamil Nadu, only if you show love, people will love you in return. And also claims that BJP is not welcome in a state like Tamil Nadu. 2026 results alone will prove that. That's the statement that M.K. Stalin has made. And the run-up to 2026, the DMK will continue to reiterate that people of Tamil Nadu will always not welcome the BJP. That's something that they will continue to reiterate in the coming months as well.
All right. Well, Purnima, thank you so much for bringing us the latest on this. All right. And with that, we're going to call it a wrap on this edition of the News Bulletin. Don't go anywhere, though. News and updates will continue on the other side on CNN News 18. Do stay tuned. This is a big CNN News 18 exclusive that we're getting for you. Gaurav and Saurabh Luthra, the two Luthra brothers who had fled to Thailand immediately after the fire, have finally now been detained.
On my screen is the first picture of both the Luthra brothers, Gaurav and Saurabh Luthra over there. As you can see, it is the Thai authorities and with their passports, they have been captured over here. We were talking about the blue corner notice that was issued by the Interpol against the Luthras, and ever since, once we got to know about the whereabouts of the Luthras in Thailand, Indian and Thai authorities were in touch with one another.
In my backdrop is this hotel. It's called Hotel Indigo. This is the hotel from where the Luthra brothers were detained based on that blue notice.
Shifting our focus to Bihar now, the BJP announced the appointment of Bihar Minister Nitin Nabin as its National Working President, with the decision taking effect immediately. Nabin currently serves as the minister in the Nitish Kumar-led Bihar government, where he holds the road construction portfolio. An official order issued by BJP National General Secretary Arun Singh said the appointment was approved by the party's parliamentary board. Prime Minister Modi congratulated Nabin on his elevation, describing him as a dedicated worker who has established a distinct identity within the party. He expressed confidence that Nabin's energy and commitment will further strengthen the party. Nabin, the 5-term Bihar MLA who belongs to the Kayastha community, is likely to succeed incumbent BJP chief JP Nadda. The organisational reshuffle comes at a time when the party is transitioning its top leadership structure. Incumbent BJP National President JP Nadda, who was appointed to the post in January 2020, has already completed his original term. Nadda was granted multiple extensions to steer the party through crucial political milestones, including the 2024 Lok Sabha elections.
Bharatiya Janata Party has appointed Nitin Nabin as their National Working President. Remember, Nitin Nabin comes from Bihar and he's currently a State Cabinet Minister in Nitish Kumar's cabinet. He comes from the Kayastha community, a young leader, somebody who has risen through the ranks. He comes from the RSS. He worked in the Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad, and then onwards, he also worked in Bharatiya Janata Yuva Morcha in Bihar. He was the General Secretary of the Morcha there, and then of course he contested the Assembly election. Now he is a 4-time member of Legislative Assembly, now a minister in the government in the state. He has now given responsibility to be the working president of Bharatiya Janata Party. Remember that the messaging behind this from the BJP is of course, opportunity to a young leader. He is a 45-year-old, and therefore with this appointment, party is sending out a message to every youth workers of the BJP that anyone can come up to the ranks if they have a potential, if they are hardworking. And also with this decision, it seems that party has made a long-term future strategy, and also an important message to the youths and to the workers of BJP that look, it's not only the caste equation that matters for them. Remember, Kayas have a very few numbers as far as population is concerned in the country, but still he was made the National Working President of the party. And also remember that this is not a full-time president. There will be election for that post as and when that happens. And interestingly, BJP made this announcement today on 14th of December, 2 days before that Kharmas, the inauspicious period begins. And in fact, today itself, they had appointed the UP BJP chief. So BJP has been continuing with this tradition where they follow the auspicious time to make big decisions, and therefore right before that inauspicious period begins, they have given responsibility to Nitin Nabin. Now, what role Nitin Nabin can play here in terms of BJP's current national president JP Nadda's working is concerned? Of course, you have some of the very crucial elections lined up for 2026. You have Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Assam. That will go to polls, West Bengal also. So with this appointment, he will be, of course, handling the day-to-day affairs of the national president, which will then give more time to JP Nadda to strategize and think about the upcoming elections.
बहुत बड़ी जिम्मेदारी मिली है भारतीय जनता पार्टी की तरफ से, खासकर बिहार की जीत के बाद से इस एलिवेशन का जो पार्टी ने दायित्व दिया है उसका कितना बड़ा महत्व है, कितनी बड़ी जिम्मेदारी है ये?
मैं मानता हूं कि पार्टी का शीर्ष नेतृत्व ने, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जो भरोसा हम पर जताया है, मैं लिए बहुत बड़ा दिन है और मैं प्रधानमंत्री जी को इसके लिए विशेष आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। और मेरा ये मानना है कि प्रधानमंत्री जी के साथ साथ माननीय राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष जी, जिनका कुशल नेतृत्व में भाजपा इतने लगातार सफलता पाई है, वैसे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष जी को भी मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। साथ ही साथ हजारों लाखों कार्यकर्ता जिन्होंने लगातार इस पार्टी को आगे बढ़ाने का काम किया है, उन कार्यकर्ताओं का भी आभार व्यक्त करता हूं कि इस मुकाम तक पार्टी को लाने में उन हजारों कार्यकर्ता।
जीत के लिए बंगाल में चुनाव होने जा रहा है, क्या मंत्र देंगे कार्यकर्ताओं को? क्योंकि आप संगठन से जुड़े रहे हैं, युवावस्था से आप संगठन का काम देख रहे हैं और जमीनी स्तर से उठ के यहाँ तक पहुंचे हैं।
मेरा ये मानना है कि बंगाल जिस परिस्थिति में है, एक एक भाजपा कार्यकर्ता पूरी तरह से बंगाल को उस परिस्थिति से, उस अराजकतावादी सरकार से, उस भ्रष्टाचारी सरकार से निकालना चाहता।
Hi there, good morning and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning in to CNN News 18. I'm Kritsween Walia. We first up start with the day's top headlines. Delhi AQI in severe plus category, prompting authorities to impose GRAP Stage IV restrictions, emergency curbs in place. Delhi sees first winter fog.